Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Live at 5. Thank you so much for tuning into this presentation today. My name is Emily, and I am a recruitment officer here at Carleton, and I am also a proud graduate of the Criminology and Criminal Justice program. So I went to Carleton for 4 years, and now I've been working at Carleton for 3 years, and I always love talking about my favorite university. So I'm really happy that you have tuned in today. Today's Live at 5 is a little bit different. We're going to be talking a little bit about your career and your future, as the title says. So I'm really excited to dive into, the questions that you might have about your future and about where your degree might lead you. Before I begin the presentation, I just want to start off by acknowledging that Carleton University acknowledges the location of its campus on the traditional unceded territories of the Algonquin Nation. Now, before I talk about your career and your future and the different opportunities that you have here at Carleton, I just want to give you an overview of the campus itself. So unfortunately, we can't have you on the campus these days to visit. We look forward to when we can have you on campus, but here is a snapshot or a bird's eye view of our campus. So our campus is it's located in Ottawa, and it's broken up into 3 different sections. I really like the way that our campus is laid out because it makes it really easy to navigate your way across campus. It makes it easy to get from one classroom to another, to get from your residence building to the athletics center, or to get from residence to your class. So all of our athletics facilities are located in one area. It's sort of at the top right-hand corner of the screen there. So that's where you'll find the fitness center, all of the gyms, the soccer field, the football field, the swimming pool. If you want to sign up for a yoga class, that's where you would go. So all of those are grouped together in one area. Then all of our classrooms and all of the places that you would go to your lectures, all of our academic buildings are located in one area as well, sort of a cluster, which makes it super nice because sometimes you might only have 10 minutes in between each class and you're not having to walk all the way from one end of campus to the other. You usually only have to walk between 1 or 2 buildings. And then finally, our residence buildings are also located in one area. So we have 11 residence buildings on our campus, and it really makes for a strong sense of community because all of them are located in the same area. So I remember when I was in first year, I made friends who were in all other buildings, and it was really easy to get to the other buildings so that I could visit my friends. There's also only one CAF, which means that everyone's going to the same place to eat. And again, it just makes for a really strong sense of community. And then, of course, we have some really beautiful borders. We have the Rideau Canal on the one side of our campus and the Rideau River on another side of our campus. And then one of my personal favorite things about Carleton's campus is something that you actually can't see in this picture, but it's our underground tunnel system. So every single building on campus is connected through heated underground tunnels, which makes us one of the most accessible universities in Canada. So let's talk about what we offer at Carleton. At Carleton, we have 5 academic faculties, and a faculty is essentially a house or an umbrella. It's a really broad area. So for example, you can see here, Faculty of Science. Now, within each faculty, we have a ton of different programs. We have 22 different degree programs, and then within those degree programs, we have a ton of different majors and specializations and concentrations that you can choose from. The nice thing about all of our degree programs is that there are experiential learning opportunities throughout all of them. So that means that while you will be sitting in a classroom and you'll be listening to your professors lecturing, you'll be participating in group discussions, you will also have opportunities to apply what you're learning in the classroom and bring it out and work on different projects and have different work experiences so that you're getting sort of that education in the classroom as well as outside the classroom, which we think is very important. We know that it's very important. Now, one piece of advice that I really want to give you, and that I usually give to my students, is that, or the students that I talk to, is that we want you to choose something to study. Choose your topic of study based on what interests you. So a lot of the time, students might look at a particular area such as engineering, and they think, okay, well, engineering, I'm going to have a great job after I graduate. I'm going to make a lot of money. I'll be successful. That's what I'm going to go for. But if you don't like engineering, then that's not a good idea. We want students to choose something that they will actually enjoy learning about. So we encourage you to go to our website, look at all of the programs that we have to offer, and whatever excites you the most, do some research into that area, because it's proven that people have higher success rates and people are more successful when they're learning about something that they're actually passionate about. You don't want to be studying something that that doesn't interest you. You want to be learning about something that you can see yourself doing in your career and in your future. So that's a really important piece of advice that I just want to give you if you're thinking about trying to decide what it is you want to study. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about different people who have graduated from Carleton and about their pathways, because a lot of the time people's paths are not linear. And what this means is that a lot of people will go into university and they'll have an idea of what they want to do, but sometimes that changes. And I myself I'm a prime example of that. So I went into my first year of university at Carleton. I studied criminology and criminal justice, and I chose my concentration in law. I knew that I wanted to go to law school. I knew that I wanted to be a criminal defense lawyer. Like that was going to be the way, and there was no changing that. However, when I was in third year and fourth year, I started working for residents at Carleton, and I got to do a lot of work with students. And I really realized that I loved working with students. I have a passion for being a mentor, for being a leader, and I have a passion for education. So when I graduated, I actually ended up getting a job at Carleton. So I don't work in the field of criminology at all. I work in education, and I absolutely love it. So that's just one example of a path that is not linear. Sometimes we talk to students who know what their end goal is. Sometimes students know, okay, I want to be a nurse when I'm older, or I want to be a doctor, or I want to be a dentist, and they know how to get there. Now, sometimes people know what it is they want to study. They know what interests them. Maybe you're really passionate about history and you know that that's what you want to study, or maybe you're really passionate about communication and media studies, but you don't know where that's going to get you in the future. So I'm hoping that by the end of this presentation, you will have a better idea of what opportunities are out there for you, and hopefully it might calm your nerves if you're feeling them and open some doors for you. Now, an example of someone who did have a linear path, or who does follow a linear path, is James Duthie. Now, if you're a sports fan, I'm sure you've heard of James Duthie, especially if you're a Canadian sports fan, then you've probably heard of him. He is a Carleton graduate. So he studied journalism. He did the Bachelor of Journalism at Carleton, and he is now a pretty famous sportscaster, Canadian sportscaster on TSN. So that's an example of someone who went to school and then followed their path. They followed that path, they learned, they built those skills right in university, and then he went on and became an expert and a professional in that field. Now, our mayor in Ottawa, Jim Watson, he also graduated from Carleton. He graduated from what was known at the time as mass communications. And so you might think, okay, well, he's the mayor, he's in politics, he must have studied political science. But that's actually not the case. He, like I said, he studied mass communications, and now he's the mayor of Ottawa. I also have a friend of mine, her name is Celine, and if you watched any of our presentations in the fall, you probably saw her give a presentation. But Celine she's a good friend of mine. She studied biochemistry during her time at Carleton, and her goal was to be a pharmacist. She wanted to work in pharmaceuticals. She really liked science. She was passionate about biochemistry. So the summer after she graduated, she worked at a pharmacy, and she realized that she did not like it at all. She didn't want to go down that path. She still enjoyed science, but she decided that she didn't want to go down that path, which of course was probably surprising because that's what she thought she was going to do while she was studying biochemistry. So she actually got a job at Carleton as a recruitment officer, just like I am now. And she really realized her passion of talking to people, helping people, giving presentations, building relationships. And then that led her to where she is now, which is at Shopify. So Shopify is an e-commerce platform, and I'm actually going to talk a little bit about Shopify in just a few minutes, but that just goes to show you someone who had this kind of clear vision of what they wanted, or had an idea of what they wanted, and then they found some other opportunities, and they found some different paths that opened other doors and made them realize that there's more out there for them than they had realized. So at Carleton, we have a few different work opportunities for our students. We always want to give students opportunity to apply what they're learning in the classroom and to actually get out there and to be able to have real life experiences and to build those skills. So we offer internships, we offer practicums, placements, and co-op. So co-op is, I'll talk about that first because it's a little bit different than the other ones, but a co-op is full-time paid work And usually students, if you're doing co-op, you're required to have either 3 work terms or 4 work terms. And this usually starts the summer after the student completes their second year of study. So we have a co-op office and we have co-op advisors, and they're there to help our students find a workplace that is suitable for them, go over your resume, help you with interview prep and that kind of thing. Then we also have internships, practicums, and placements. And typically these are not paid, but you do get a credit for it. So instead of doing full-time paid work, you're doing part-time work, and then it counts toward your degree. And we really want to emphasize to students to take advantage of these work opportunities, because there's so many positives, there's so many pros that come out of taking advantage of these work opportunities. Number one is, if you're getting paid, then that's some financial assistance for you to pay for university. Number two, you're networking, you're building your skills, you're building that foundation for after you graduate. A lot of the time, students will go and do a co-op, and if they really like where they do it and the employer really likes them, then that can lead to full-time work after you graduate. So you've already got that first stepping stone out of your way, or you've got that first sort of step covered, and it's a great way to enter the working world once you graduate. The other advantage to it is something that I think people don't often think about, but is really important. You might go into a co-op and you might be super excited about it, or you might be going into a work placement and you might be thinking that this is what you want to do, this is what you love, and you might get there and realize that, well, this isn't actually what I want to do, or maybe I'm not enjoying it. Just like I talked about my friend Celine, she worked at a pharmacy and then she didn't actually enjoy it. So a lot of people think that if they carry out a co-op or a work term and they don't like it, that's a bad thing. But in my opinion, and I think a lot of people will agree with me, that's actually a really good thing, because you now know what you don't want to do. That's a door that you can close, and you're not going to wonder about that anymore, and you can move on to something else. You can explore what else interests you so that you can hopefully find that area that you are really passionate about and that you will enjoy. Now, on the flip side, you could go into a work placement or some sort of work opportunity thinking that maybe you won't like it, or having no idea if you'll like it, and it could turn out to be something that you actually really, really enjoy and that you find excites you and ignites your passion. So those are just a few different things to consider when you're coming to Carleton and when you're looking at different work opportunities. And then the last thing is that it also sets you apart from the other people in your field. So you've got some really great opportunities, work opportunities here at Carleton. Now, we always talk about the capital advantage at Carleton, and it's huge for us. It is so cool and so exciting and very unique that we are one of the only universities that are in Canada's capital city. So we have so many opportunities that you're not going to find at any other university in the country. And one of them is the government opportunities that we have right here in our city. We talk about this a lot. However, we don't really do a deep dive into what it means to, have these government opportunities. So I just want to talk a little bit about these opportunities that we have. As you can see here, this is just a very short list of the different areas of government that we have here in Ottawa. So you can see here that there's Health Canada, Public Safety Canada, Statistics Canada, National Film Board. And I want to draw your attention to Health Canada for a minute, just because it's very relevant right now. You might think, okay, well, to work for Health Canada, I need to have a health sciences degree or some sort of background in science. But that is actually not the case. If you think about, advertisements right now, think about what's going on in the moment. We're in a pandemic, and I'm sure some of you have been scrolling through Instagram and an ad will pop up, or maybe you're on Facebook and an ad will pop up. I know that for me, whenever I have the TV on, there's always ads coming through. When there's commercials, there's usually an ad coming through to tell people to stay at home, save lives, wear a mask, social distance, and do all of those things. So if you think about that, these ads are being put out by Health Canada and by the government. And yes, there are probably a lot of employees who work for Health Canada who do have a background in health or health policy or some sort of science background. But if you think about these ads that are being put out, that means that Health Canada needs people who have business backgrounds. They'll need to have an HR department. They'll need people with communications backgrounds, media, marketing, production, so media production and design. So there's going to be, each of these areas of government, they're going to need people with all sorts of different backgrounds. So it's really nice to sort of realize that no matter what you're studying, there's going to be different opportunities for you at different companies and different organizations. So just think about that and make note of that while I continue on this presentation, because I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a second. However, I do want to bring your attention to a really cool program that we have. It's called FSWEP. So it stands for the Federal Student Work Experience Program. And this allows students to get work opportunities with the government even before they graduate. So our students will sometimes do summer internships with the government, or they'll get a summer job and they'll get to work for the government. I even know some people who would get a summer job with the government, and then, when they went back to school in September, they, instead of, losing that job, or instead of quitting, they would keep part-time hours. So they would still be working throughout the year, and then they would go back full-time in the summer. So if you want to check out that opportunity, definitely go onto their website. You can search Federal Student Work Experience Program and have a look at all of the different government opportunities that are available to university students. Now, I mentioned Shopify because I mentioned my friend Celine and how she works at Shopify. And for those of you who don't know, Shopify is an e-commerce platform. Okay, so this is the platform that Elon Musk uses to sell his Teslas. This is what Kylie Jenner uses to sell her makeup products or her makeup line. It's a massive, massive e-commerce platform. And so Shopify, of course, will need people with computer science backgrounds and engineering backgrounds. But I think a lot of people, when they hear this, they would quickly assume that those are the only types of employees that Shopify would hire, is people with computer science and people with engineering. But that's actually not the case. So I took a screenshot here. This is from Shopify's careers website. And this is just a list. This is just a really short list of some of the positions that they were hiring for. So as you can see, they're looking for someone to work in business operations, HR and culture, legal and finance. Right there, those are 3 different areas. There are 3 different backgrounds that people will need. So we're looking for people who have studied HR management. We need someone who has a financial background or a legal background. So I'm sure Shopify will be hiring lawyers. So we do need, and it's not just Shopify, but most companies are looking for people with all different types of backgrounds. Okay, so I would really encourage you, before you start to just look for a general position, or before you look for sort of one type of job, look at some companies, go do some research, look at a company that you think you would like to work for, because there will likely be a whole list of jobs that they need to fill, and you probably have the background for some of those jobs. So I just want to really emphasize that, because I know that sometimes students can be a little bit closed-minded and think that there's only one type of degree or one type of background that certain companies will hire for, and that is not the case. Now, I also just want to make a note of something cool that I learned a little while ago, and I didn't really understand it until more recently. But if you think back to 2007, which you might not remember because you were probably very young, that is when the very first iPhone was created. So that means that there are so many jobs that exist today that did not exist, 20 years ago. And I remember my dad saying to me, Emily, the job that you have in 20 years might not even exist today. Like it might not exist today. And I remember thinking, well, how is that possible? Like, how can we create this new job that has never been done before? But then I think back to, well, this first smartphone, or the first iPhone, was created in 2007. So there's all these jobs that exist now with all of the technology that has come out, with these smartphones, with the iPhones, all of the apps that have been created. And those jobs would not have been anything before that. And the example that I like to use is a UX designer, so a user experience designer. So a user experience designer is someone who sort of combines like a psychology area with a technology area. So that definitely didn't exist, 15 years ago. So you can just see where I'm going with this, and that there are constantly new things being developed. We live in a very innovative society where things are being developed and created. So it's very likely that you will enter a career in 10 years, or you will start a job in 10 years that does not even exist today. So when you are thinking about, you're planning your future and you're planning your career, or you're thinking about your career and what you might want to do, it's really important to be aware of the skills that you are developing along the way. And just by being a university student, you will develop these skills. You're going to develop people skills, research and planning skills, thinking skills, personal skills. And not all of these will be developed, in the academic sense, but some of them will be developed by just being a student and having to learn how to prioritize your time and time manage. For me, I learned so many skills in first year, and I really got to, hone in on my people skills, especially in my personal skills, because it was the first time that I was living away from home. It was the first time that I was sharing a room. I had never had to share a room in my entire life, and then all of a sudden I was sharing a room with someone who I had never met before that first day of residence. So I learned a lot about communication skills, making sure that we were always communicating and that we were boundary setting and making sure that both of us felt comfortable and happy with how things were going, which required constant communication throughout the entire year. So just by being a student, if you live in residence, if you join a club, or maybe you become a student leader at some point at university, you will be developing all of those skills. And it's really good to be aware of the skills that you're developing, because they will be transferable, and then you can talk about them in your interviews with employers. It's really good to know your skills and to focus on developing your skills, especially when you have skills that maybe you're really strong at and then some skills that you want to develop more. It's really important to be aware of that and to focus on the development of those skills. Now, one skill that I particularly, find that Carleton has really helped me develop, both as a student and as a staff member, is intercultural awareness. So this is something that Carleton does really well. We understand the importance, and we recognize how important it is to, to be inclusive, to celebrate diversity, and to celebrate unity as well. And that's why we really want our students to constantly be challenged in the way that they think. So we want to challenge you in the way that you think, so that you can look at things from different perspectives, right? We have people from all around the world. We have people with different backgrounds, people with different views and different opinions. And we really want to create that culture of intercultural awareness at our university. And it's so important and such an important thing that I think that I developed and that I like to use in my workplace as well. It's always good to make sure that you're being inclusive and that you're aware of what other people are thinking, and that you're aware of, who else is sitting at that table with you. So intercultural awareness is a really, really important one that Carleton really focuses on and does a great job of constantly developing. Now, if you would like to check out a really helpful tool, you could go to Carleton. I encourage you to go to pathways.carleton.ca. So if you go to this website right here, you can actually have a look at all of our 22 different degree programs. You can click on a program and it'll tell you the skills that you'll develop while you're studying in that program. It has a list of what our alumni are up to now. So for example, if you click on, Bachelor of Computer Science, there will be a list of the jobs that our graduates from that program are currently in. And then you can also see, you'll also be able to take a look at the potential career paths that you can take if you do pursue that degree. So it's really helpful. You can kind of get a sense of, what skills you'll develop and where they might take you after this. So pathways.carleton.ca is a really, really helpful tool that I encourage you to check out and use. And then we also encourage you to go to Carleton 360. So this is a customizable hub that you can use. You can go to 360.carleton.ca. Let us know what program you're interested in. We'll send you some information about that program. We'll send you some information about events that are coming up that are related to that program. And that's where you can find a bunch of useful information. And then you can also request that we mail you a viewbook. So there's a button right there that says mail me a viewbook, and then we will mail you one of these really nice viewbooks, and you can flip through and have a look at everything that we have to offer. So it's got lots of information about our programs, as well as about different student services that we offer, such as co-op, scholarships, residence, clubs and societies. So it's a really, really helpful resource to have as well. And then a bonus is if you do request that we mail you a viewbook, you could potentially receive some really cool Raven swag. So you might get one of those cool sweaters in the mail if you request that we send you a viewbook. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining me today. I always love talking about, people's careers and people's futures. It's really exciting to think about, the possibilities that are out there. And it's really exciting to think that there are so many out there that you haven't even discovered yet. you will realize that there are all these doors that will open throughout your university, your time at university, and you'll develop some really cool skills and make some really cool memories along the way. So thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really glad that you did. We will stick around for just a few more minutes in the chat just in case you have any questions, but thank you so much, and we will see you soon.